Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, April 7th. So we are going to have that shift out of the moon being in Gemini energy, giving us a very, very stimulating last couple of days. Lots of new information, lots of new perspectives, lots of new plans for the future were definitely made. And we are shifting into the moon, locking into Cancer energy. The moon, of course, in its place of power and comfort in Cancer as it rules over Cancer and energy. And we'll be locking in around 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we do start the day off while the moon is still void, still in Gemini energy. There are 10 different aspects here today. 6 of them involve the moon. Now, there is another star factor here today, which is Mercury. And Mercury, of course, the ruler over Gemini energy, has definitely done a number on our mental plane over the last couple of days. And wrapping up its last couple of days in Aries energy, Mercury is definitely popping off. We have a very, very aggressive mindset. We have a very pressurized situation and opportunity to speak our truth and truly express ourselves. We have to be a little bit more straightforward. We have to be a little bit more direct. We have a lot going on inside of us that we have to get out of our head space, out of our heart space. So while the moon is still in Gemini energy, but still very much void of course, again, void of course means that we're a little bit uncertain, unstable. We're questioning everything, even the good parts and the bad parts that we were firm on just a couple of hours ago. We're very uncertain. We're very unstable. While the moon is void, of course, especially while the majority of us are sleeping, it can make for a very restless kind of sleep. And if you're lucky enough to actually enter into a dream state, it can kind of create a lot of conflicting dreamscapes as well. A lot of misinformation happens while the moon is void, of course, and it can actually be brought over into our waking lives and create a little bit of confusion there as well. So the moon is going to bump into Chiron. This is a beautiful energy because it is kind of amplifying the amount of healing work that we've been able to accomplish in a very short amount of time, especially since the new moon in Aries. Yesterday, we had a pretty profound perspective kind of be laid upon us, really changing and skewing our perspective and understanding of some of the hardships that we've gone through. And of course, giving us a different vibrational frequency to stand in this present moment as we project ourselves, plan for the future. So this is just kind of reassuring us that there is some karmic healing going on. There is some mental healing going on, and of course, emotional healing as well. The moon does semi-square Uranus though, and this is a little bit of a point in time when the confusion sets in. And may I remind you that confusion is absolutely necessary in order for us to find clarity. We need a little bit of chaos in our mental planes and in our heart space in order to sort through that process and really kind of define what it is that we're lacking. And of course, that leads us to what it is that we need more of. This is going to be a little bit of an unstable energy to start the day off with. We're feeling a little bit mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, a little bit anxious. It is quite a time when your physical body is lacking energy, but your inner realm is just being zapped with energy, with anxiousness, with just aha moments that we can't even make sense of because everything just seems kind of cloudy and kind of confusing. The moon bumps into Pluto, and this is a beautiful energy, although it doesn't feel very good at the beginning part of it. It is an awareness where it is that we have a choice point on whether or not we are going to stay in victimhood and let our past pain and suffering kind of put us in a state of paralysis, preventing us from moving forward, and where it is that we are willing to, use some of that as motivation and inspiration to move forward. Now, Pluto does want us to step into our power. He does want to show us where it is that we need to take the power back from some of our relationships. And right now, because the moon is in Gemini, that is our heart and our head kind of being torn apart in order to be put back together. And this is a huge realization in our physical lives where it is that we're being gifted an opportunity to make a major transformation, not only within ourselves, but in our circumstances as well. Mercury sextiles Saturn. This is a grasp not only on reality, this is a reality check, this is a truth pill being swallowed, It is a new understanding, if you will, of the path and the direction that we have to take in order to step into the new roles and responsibilities that many of us are being karmically activated to take on, even though we would rather not. Now, Mercury and Saturn is almost like a maturity, if you will, not only in our mental plane, because now we have a bigger, broader perspective. We're kind of at the point where we have to stop whining about our lives and we have to embrace the script in which our higher selves wrote for ourselves. But Mercury bumping into Saturn in this point can definitely put us in a position to speak our truth and to be heard and to be validated and to have the confidence and clarity, the straightforwardness, the directness that we need in order to put people in their spot, in order for us to initiate and implement new boundaries, in order for us to be heard on whatever confrontation and conflict we've been biting our tongue on. Again, I've been saying it since Aries season started. There is a difference between speaking your truth from your higher self and knowing that that energy needs to be released and expressed from your soul in its most raw and authentic way, even if it hurts other people's feelings, and the difference between speaking from ego, reacting, projecting, opening your mouth without a filter and just letting whatever come out. If you are operating from ego, you can expect a whole hell of a lot of drama and hurt to come from this particular aspect and opportunity. If you are speaking from the observer mentality and knowing that you have to get certain things off your chest because it is in your heart and soul to do so, then you're not going to have any problems. You're going to pass this situation with flying colors. The moon bumps into the sun in a very positive way. This happens just a couple of minutes before the moon actually moves out of Gemini energy and locks into Cancer and energy. This is a huge epiphany, a huge realization, a huge agreement between our heart and our soul, between our head and our heart and our soul, and between our inner realm and our physical body that is the connecting point between our inner realm and our outer realm. The sun, of course, in Aries energy needs us to boss up, needs us to just put the blinders on, to be straightforward, to be direct, to use the aggression and the anger if necessary in order to fuel us in the right direction forward. This is an agreement among all parts of self for us to literally draw a line in the sand from the past, in the present moment, and of course, for us to see how the future needs to go based off of our current realizations and revelations. Before the moon actually shifts into Cancer and energy, Mercury, the ruler of the moon in Gemini at this point, is going to bump into Jupiter in not the most pleasant way. Not the most pleasant way, because this means that there's an outside trigger, an outside activation in our physical realms, giving us an opportunity to be heard, to grow through what it is that we're going through by truly expressing ourselves, being direct, being straightforward, communicating confidently, with clarity, with a huge vision of expression that needs to be released from our physical bodies. Again, if you haven't listened to the ascension forecast, please go ahead and do this. This is why we're having throat activations, because many of us have been biting our tongue on actually speaking out on things that many of us want to say that we don't want to say because we want to keep the peace in our current circumstances and relationships that we can't do anymore because maybe you haven't realized it yet. But when you bite the tongue of the voice that wants to be heard, you might be keeping the war from taking place in your outer realm, but you're actually creating the war within yourself, right? We can't be doing that no more. We got to speak raw and authentically from our heart space, from our soul space. Things are going to get loud because Jupiter's here. He turns the volume up. He magnifies whatever it is that's going on. And right now we have a lot to say. We need to get a lot out of our head and off of our heart space. And we are going to be presented an opportunity in our physical circumstances to do just that. And at this particular point, while we're popping off, while we're speaking our truth, while other people are popping off and speaking their truth to us as well, this is a moment of growth. This is a moment of expansion. And if you have the spiritual understanding of relationships and that they're merely mirroring back to you the inner work in which you've done and need to do, then you will take this as a stepping stone in the right direction on what it is that you need to do in this personal relationship from here. The moon goes ahead, locks into Cancer energy. Now we are hella sensitive, okay? We move from the moon in Gemini, which rules over the head space. We move into the heart space with the moon in Cancer. Things get very touchy, very sensitive. Why? Because the moon rules over Cancer energy. It's in its place of power here. Our intuition is just super strong. We are kind of attached more to the past than we are to the present moment and to the future, mostly because we're using our past experiences and past understandings as a defense mechanism to protect ourselves. We're very protected, very protective. When the moon is in Cancer, we're tending to want to retract from the social scene that the moon in Gemini had us in. We were chatty Cathy's over the last couple of days and just poking and prodding for conversation and for mental stimulation. Now we want to pull back. Now we just kind of want to stay home. We just want to focus on, what has been working. We don't really want to push ourselves forward. We just kind of want to find a comfy place to kind of sort through our thoughts and our feelings. This is like decompression mode. So the moon moves into Cancer. Mercury bumps into the true node. All of a sudden, we are recognizing from the earlier situation that popped off in order for us to speak our truth or have to be in a position to hear other people's truth. Now, whether this truth is actually real or whether it was ego fluffed, that still remains to be seen. You're going to have to use your intuition and your observer mentality to make that judgment call for yourself. But Mercury bumping into the true node in this way, suddenly, we don't know what to think. You ever be in a conversation and you realize how somebody actually thinks and actually feels, and sometimes you can't believe that they actually see life that way, or that they think that way, or that they feel that way. And you can't really grasp it, and then suddenly you start to question your whole relationship or friendship or just mere existence with this person from the understanding that you now have that they have about life, and you're just like, damn, I don't know how we got this far in life without me understanding that you understand life this way. It definitely can put you off, right? Not only that, if the truth that is coming at you or the truth that you are speaking has a direct effect on the personal relationship or the energy dynamic or energy exchange between you and this other person, suddenly that's going to cluster F the way that you've been thinking about the plans for the future. Maybe you had them written in as a co-starring role in your reality in the movie, which is of your life. And suddenly them popping off this way puts such a major perspective on who it is that you thought that they were and the role in which they wanted to play in your life, that maybe you have to cast this MFer out of your life altogether. That is a possibility. Or maybe not even a negative tone. Maybe the truth that is coming at you, the realizations that are coming at you, suddenly show you that this person deserves more of a role in your life. Suddenly we got to re-edit the plans that we had. Maybe this person who is only, a filler or an actor or a background actor in the movie that is you, maybe they've just confessed a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of compassion, a lot of support that makes you want to grow that bond a little bit more strong. And because of that, they're going to need a little bit more time and attention and energy from you. And therefore, you kind of re-edit their role in your life to have a little bit more of a focus, a little bit more of a major role. Either way, the information that we are currently receiving from our circumstances changing is altering the path and the plan that we are writing for ourselves. The moon in Cancer trines Venus. Venus is in Pisces. So Pisces is a water energy. Cancer is a water energy. What does water energy do? Well, first of all, it makes us highly emotional. Secondly, it puts our intuition on blast. And third of all, it's very transformative because it cleanses us. Water cleanses us. Water is the only element that can take multiple forms. It can go from a gas to a solid, to a liquid, right? Like it is all over the place. It can be free flowing. It can be bumpy. It can be choppy. It can be cold. It can be rigid. It can do a lot of things. And in that state of going through the different state and processes of our emotions, we transform. We cleanse ourselves from the old negative, yucky attachment vibes, and we open ourselves up to a new perspective, a new level of healing, a new level of understanding, and therefore we are transformed. So the moon trining Venus in this way, we are getting together with what it is that we want for ourselves in our personal relationships. We are understanding where it is that the work that we've been doing within ourselves is working, because we're seeing both the agreement and the resistance coming from the people in our physical realms. We are understanding emotionally what it is that we've been lacking, what it is that we need more of, what it is that we need to do within ourselves to fill the voids that we unconsciously have been looking outside of ourselves for other people to fill within us. This realization is building off, is being triggered by the earlier situation, the conversation that was revealed to us. Suddenly, like I said, if this was a negative pop off and you're being kind of, told all these things that you just can't wrap your head around, well, suddenly you know that that person is not going to be down for you. You don't want any more of that kind of negative vibe. You're going to have to do something to fill that void, to fill that bridge. And if this earlier situation where the truth got popped off and information was revealed in all the right ways, well, suddenly, ding, 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 we know we want more of that. That felt good. I want more of that in my life. Let's pencil that in, right? So we're coming to some sort of agreement within our heart space on what it is that we value, what it is we want more of, what it is that we would feel more emotionally safe and secure and encouraged and supportive with. The people in our lives, the elements within ourselves, we're starting to put the pieces together here, and it feels good. Suddenly, though, Mercury pops off with Neptune. Suddenly, our lower level intellect that rules over our egoic mind space is in a cluster F with our intuition. Why? Because sometimes when people come at us in our physical reality, speaking their truth, and their truth doesn't really feel good with our truth, suddenly we don't know what to trust. Our ego mind is going to say, oh, well, maybe they're having a hard day. Maybe hurt people. Maybe they really don't feel like that. Maybe they're just projecting. And our intuition is like, you've seen these signs and symbols before, but you needed it to be right in your face in order to believe that it was true. This is a soul contract. Do your thing. At this point, we don't know who to trust, our lower level intellect or our higher selves. And the objective here is to find balance in between the two. We wrap the day up with the moon making a very positive aspect with Mercury. So what this tells us is that Mercury popping off with Neptune, our egoic mental plane versus our higher self intuition, we're conflicted, right? We're trying to find the balance. We're trying to find the middle ground. We're trying to find the compromise. What happens? The moon and Mercury come together, our head space, our heart space. The moon in Cancer, very intuitive, very grounded, knows what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel secure, what makes us feel like we are operating from a safe place in order to not only ask for what it is that we want, need, and desire, but within ourselves, we have this grounded intuitional place to say, you know what, this feels right to me, and I'm going to trust my intuition and my emotions over everything else. I'm going to let my heart lead on this one. And Mercury is over here, lower level intellect in Aries, mind you, who just wants to straightforward, direct, let's pop off, let's get things done, let's make a decision, let's move forward, let's not think about the long-term consequences, let's just act now, see what happens. The moon with Mercury right now, this is our heart and our head coming to an agreement. The water energy from the moon in Cancer kind of snuffs out the flames, if you will, of Mercury in Aries. So we get to calm the mental plane down, calm the ego down long enough for the intuition to just, in our heart space, to have this conversation with our head to say, listen, we followed our head space before, that got us in trouble. We popped off before without thinking, that caused some drama and some dynamics. But every single time that we listen to our heart space, it has always done us right. And when we operate from a state of rawness and vulnerability and authenticity to our heart space, to our soul space, to our higher selves, we cannot do no wrong. We might be in situations that might not feel good because sometimes doing the right thing hurts. Sometimes choosing one path over the other doesn't feel good. But as long as we're doing it from an authentic place where our heart space and our higher self is saying, this is the right thing to do, we're going to be able to process the not so nice thoughts and feelings and circumstances that following our heart space, following our soul space will lead us into. We are going to have the tools, the wisdom, the resources, the power within us. We are going to have what it is that we need to do what is right, even if it hurts other people's feelings, and even if it puts us in a situation where it hurts us as well.